Assalamu alaikum. I'm in a place called Yanar Dag. In other words, Yanar Fire Dag Mountain. In the Fire Mountain. And you can see why it's called the Fire Mountain down there. Now in ancient times, this was all the fire was, and this is Zoroastrianism, you know, the worship of fire. And this is just like a little look around. So with all of this was happening naturally because there is gas and oil rich in this country. Obviously been proven later by science that it is only because of that they have these the fires. But people at that time thought that these mountains were sacred and fire was sacred, so you ended up with people actually worshipping fires and these mountains. This is just a closer view of the Fire Mountain, and certainly even this about 6-7 meters away you can feel the heat. Looks like here we have a school trip of kids today. And just another view of the Fire Mountain there. Wonderful natural phenomena which ended up being worshipped, and then over a period of time then people realized that it isn't what they thought it was. A bit cloudy now. So this is the sulfuric. So the sulfur from the ground as it comes in contact with water, and then you can see the bubbles there. So a lot of people are actually missing this because they think there's nothing here. They come this far to the top of the hill, but the other things are further away, you know. And we came up on those bikes there, and so we're now going to head up to the mud volcanoes. So just bearing in mind, if anybody comes this way, that you need to come further and either on foot, so it might be quite far, or just hire these little moped things. This is just one of the small mud volcanoes. Now the main ones are in Gobustan, where there's over 300 and much larger than this. So this is just only a little one, but it just gives you an example of what it is. So in Gobustan especially, people go and bathe in those, and because they say they've got healing properties. But just finding out that for the healing properties you've got to do something like this regularly, not just one dip and it's going to help you. So this is at some point, obviously when these would have created these valleys down here, as the mud rolled down the hills. So interesting. I'm stood here on the, if you might call it, the summit of the mountain, and these that you can see here, as you can see there, these are known as the Ottoman trenches. Now, during the First World War, Azerbaijan was still part of the Turkish Empire, and they were the Ottomans, the Ottoman soldiers, the Turkish soldiers, in other words, and obviously the Azerbaijani soldiers as well. They were all in the same side, and these were the places where they were hiding. There's always a vantage point on top of hills and things. So these were the trenches. This place I'm here is known as the Kurgan tomb, but there is no, the guide says there's no further information on that other than that they know the name of the person, and but we don't know how old. When you're looking at the stones and stuff, it's obviously quite ancient, so we have no idea who Kurgan was, whether it was a man or a woman, and at what point they were, if they were buried here, what it was at the time. This now, which is obviously a dry valley now, you can see, but 2 kilometers further south, that joins onto a salt lake. It says it's quite a large lake down there, so it just joins into that. At some point, obviously, water would have flowed down here. Now totally dry. This out here is just an open museum, just got a few artifacts here. Let's see what they are. pestle for spices, 14th century village of Muhammadi. Millstones, 14th century village of Muhammadi. Stone basin, 18th century village of Muhammadi. Small stone grinding mill, 16th century village. In other words, a chakki. It's a gravestone, 18th century. All of these things seem to be from the village of Muhammadi. So this is 15th, 16th century, and there you can see the star, and then obviously the sun worship. 13th century village of Muhammadi with I don't know, looks like Arabic or something. Stone basin to crush grapes, 17th, 18th century. Stone gutters, 14th, 15th century stone gutters. Big one, stone basin. Again, 17th century stone managers. All right, stone rings to fasten domestic animals, 14th, 15th century. Millstones again, 14th century village of Muhammadi. So they must have obviously dug these up from the village of Muhammadi at some point. These are probably, what are these? Yeah, large millstones. In other words, chakkiyan. Just still, I suppose, within Baku, just not too far from the center. This is the Atishgah. In other words, the fire temple. We'll be heading in there. Just its own little area there. Usual souvenirs, everything like that. So let's see what the inside has to offer. Like I was saying before, predominantly Zoroastrians, fire worshippers, and you can understand the reasons when you see the places like Yanardagh, you know, the fire mountain. People saw those things as something different, something special, and you know, started worshipping those things in those days. So this is the main Atishgah, the main fire temple, the main building. Supposedly this fire has been burning for about 10,000 years, if I read correctly somewhere. Maybe my mistake, but I'm sure it said something like 10,000 years this has been burning. Smaller areas of interest around. Another fire there. It's basically gas, isn't it? The land is rich in gas.